Hey folks, welcome back to the RC bench. Well, as I stated in my previous video, just a little update video, I'm going to try to get a little bit more stuff uploaded here in the near future. Try to be a little bit more consistent instead of making videos for a while and then getting away from them for what, a year, whatever it may be. So I can't make any promises, but maybe possibly even a weekly upload if I can find enough time and content to create videos. And I'm going to try to quit saying so much, but that might be hard to do because it's kind of subconscious. But in any case, you can see I've got the Jeep here on the bench, and my plan for today, hopefully, is to get a working winch. Now, the winch controller, this is a three racing winch, and seen online that a lot of people have had these winch controllers die, and me included. It's not quite working right. It should put out plus and minus voltage depending on the input, and with 0 in the middle, and it's not doing that. My plan to remedy that, and it's not a unique plan, other people have done it as well, is to actually make a new, well, not make, but convert something to work as a new winch controller. Now let me just get my bin out here. Maybe you can probably guess what it is, because like I say, this isn't a unique idea to me. Other people have done this as well, but I figure I'd video me trying to do it. Now, first thing I got to do is find, there's an appropriate candidate right there. What I'm going to use is a servo. Now this is a servo this is a crappy old, what is it? Tower Pro MG996R digital high torque servo. This came in a car I bought. They're an okay servo, but nothing special. I do have other servos here as well, but I'm thinking because it's a high torque model, it might be more appropriate to a winch controller. Maybe the circuit board can handle more power. And some of these other servos, I've got several high-tech 645 MGs, but I'd rather not take those apart. And I have a couple JR Racing Z270s, but I'm worried that they might not handle the power. So I'm going to try this Tower Pro model. They're cheap. I wouldn't recommend doing this with a good working servo, but if you have something with stripped gears that you don't want to put gears in or what have you, this should probably do the job. Now the first step, besides making some room here, is to make sure your candidate servo is going to work. Now I've got a, I'll zoom in a little bit since I'm trying a different camera view here. Let's see, that should do it. Make sure the servo you're going to use actually works. I'm pretty sure this one works, but I've got this cheapo servo eBay servo tester, so I'm going to hook this up. And there we go, lights on the end for power. So even this servo lead is all chewed up. I could put a new lead on here, but I'd say this is a good candidate for this. Put the servo on one of the outputs. Oh, she jumped. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but it's working. So that should do the trick. And there I caught myself saying so. Okay, so the first step, well, second step, is to take this apart and get the electronic board out. Now I am going to have to change this input lead because you still use that. Just hook it up to your radio system. Once you get it apart, there you can see the guts of the servo. you know, I'm sure these servos aren't, for the price, they're probably decent enough. But, oh boy, this is actually going to make it even easier than some of the videos I've seen. Because the motor, which is a pretty big size, is not mounted to the board directly. It's wired to the board, so that makes things simpler. So what I'm going to do, and another thing that actually makes it simpler is thing that in a servo that tells the radio system where the position is a thing called a potentiometer, and that's what's on this gear. And this potentiometer, instead of, I don't know if you can see in there, instead of being wired to the board or mounted to the board directly, it is wired as well. Now you're going to have to, with the video I watched, to determine if this could be done. Like I say, this isn't an original idea. The fella glues the potentiometer in place, and that'll work once you find, because you have to set the potentiometer to keep the motor from moving. So when you pull the motor out, here, I'll show you here. It's easier to show than explain. Because now that the gears are out, let me see if I can show it on the gear somewhere. Where is it? Servos only turn so far and then they stop. Here it is. I don't know if you can see on that gear, there's a little post, and that's what stops it, and the potentiometer as well stops it so it can't go too far. But let's see if we can get that motor out of there. We should just push out. There's a little bit of glue on it. I'm surprised at how big that motor is. There we go. Motor out. Servo gutted. Now you wouldn't be able to do this with a brushless servo, because they have a completely different electronics package. But as I was saying about the potentiometer, I'll show you. You have to get that potentiometer right dead center, or else the winch motor will keep kind of spinning when you're at the neutral position. So what you do, what you would do, just hook this up. I'm going to hook it up. Let's see if it's going to call me a liar. I have that backwards. It's not working at all now. Oh, because the servo. It's going to call me a liar? Interesting. I may have to hook up a radio for this to work. No, the motor was just stuck for whatever reason. 'Cause now it's turning. You can hear it. Whoa, and she's cooking. Interesting. Not sure what happened there. That ain't good. Let the magic smoke out. But in any case, you got to set this so that the motor stays in one position without moving, and that's your position for setting it permanently. But why that motor started smoking, I don't know. There you can hear the motor spinning now, maybe. If I turn this pot, it stops. It's a sticky motor, so that's servo. This was definitely a good candidate. See, it's going. And it stops. So I may have a little bit of problems, but what I'm going to do, I'm not going to glue this. And if you turn it the other way, it's going to spin the other way. There we go. So you can see, and then you'd find that center, and you would glue the shaft so it doesn't move anymore. But what I'm going to do, is figure out what the resistance is of this potentiometer, because I better unhook this. There's 3 wires going into it. Sorry, there we go. 3 wires. And this potentiometer should have a resistance. Maybe it's not marked on here. Most of the times they have it's just a variable resistor is all it is. So I'm going to figure out what the resistance is. Oh yeah, you see. Sorry I'm babbling. It's been so long since I've done a video. Both wires appear, oh no, they don't go to the same spot, but figure out what the resistance is when it's in the center point, and I'm going to replace this potentiometer with some resistors themselves, and hopefully that should do the job. Holy smokes, there's like wires in here that are all rotten and everything, but I'll just use my multimeter, rotate it through its range, and split the difference, and hopefully that'll work. So I'm going to shut up now and just do some fast forward video while I work on this. You know, I just realized I got ahead of myself. I shouldn't have cut this off right away. What I should have done was just cut the motor off, hook this up, and then try it again and just measure the outputs on the motor wires just for voltage. And I could have done that, but oh well, we'll work around it. I got to replace the servo lead first, and then go on from there. Being lazy, I'm going to take a picture of the wires so I get them back in the right spot. Get yourself some of this solder braid if you're doing this as well. It's nice to get all that lead-free solder off of there. It's harder to work with, especially if you're not the most accomplished soldering person. Solder wick works quite well just to suck all that stuff right off of there. And this is good. This is MG Chemicals brand, not some Chinese stuff. I've got some of the eBay stuff and it didn't work at all. Well, I shouldn't say that. It just didn't work nearly as well as this good stuff. And some MG Chemicals. Sorry, I'm out of frame here. Let me show you there's what the solder wick looks like. And I've got some MG Chemicals solder, 6337. This other stuff I'm using is I think 6337 as well, and it's a decent brand. Going to tin the ends of these wires before I try to put them onto the board. And that way the solder flows more freely, get a better joint. Can even use flux, a little bit extra flux if need be. I've got some here in a nail polish bottle. Especially if the wire is a little bit oxidized, sometimes that'll help clean the oxidation off and get the solder to flow onto it better. So I'm going to just come, let's see, straight onto it. Now, good thing I took the pictures. I can see which is which here. So, ground power signal. Yeah, just like I'm holding it. Look at that, eh? Try to get a little more solder on those pads. Turn my iron down a little too hot. And if I can see what I'm doing, trim those back even a bit more. And you know what, I talked about the flux. I'm going to put a little bit on the wires as well now to help it flow in quickly. Problem with this thin wire is the insulation melts off of it quite quickly if you're heating the wire, so you want to get in and out as quick as possible. I'm hoping the sound is okay. I'm wearing my lapel mic. Voila, I'm going to double check my picture. Yeah, that's good. Give you a quick view of it. Not perfect, but good enough. The camera will focus on that. Come on. Might not focus. There you go. You can kind of see they're stuck on there good. Maybe my resistor plan didn't work, folks. Well, obviously it didn't work. There's 0. And the winch keeps going in. And that's the same problem I was having with, well, no, the winch controller will only go one way. So that's strange, you know. I don't understand what's going on. So, well, that's a fail. First attempt, but you can kind of, it's almost working. It's almost like that channel is not going to the center position, which is really strange. So I'm going to have to do more troubleshooting, and I'll bring you part 2 of this project. So until then, take care and talk to you later. Well, folks, I said I was done, but I just bugged the heck out of me as to why this wasn't working right. And I had a thought that maybe my resistance wasn't accurate enough. So I bodged, you can see those original series resistors on here, and I think maybe it just might be good. Based on, I already took a voltmeter of this, and it was right. But yet, the motor is running. It's almost like there's a little bit of voltage there. Let me check the voltage output. So when I was on 0, there was, I'm just looking, I don't know if you can see the meter. Let me move it in here. How's that? Can you see it? No. How about there? So my third channel is currently dead center. So there should be no output. And I guess you got to put it on voltage. No voltage. Right? So that's fine. Put it on the other range, or one direction. Should have, depending on how I have the probes hooked up. Come on. Should have approximately 6 volts. So negative 6 volts. Go the other way. Positive 6 volts. So with this in the center, what the heck? Why do I have 6 volts now? something's goofy, and it's almost like this channel's not working the way it should be. But you guys did see it, it was on 0, so I'm going to keep messing around, and I'll be back with the solution hopefully in another video. Bye.